Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Dan, and behind me we have a new addition to the household. My wife, I guess something I didn't know, but she gets really stressed out with things being double and even triple stacked. And that was the case for a lot of my shelves that had paperbacks on them. So she was so kind as to purchase two new sets of paperback shelves off of Amazon, which arrived recently, and we've spent a lovely evening assembling these. But the result couldn't make me any happier. Um, I love mass market paperbacks. That's probably my favorite type of book, at least the form factor. And while they're not as common anymore, like a lot of my books come from thrifting and stuff, so I end up getting a lot of older mass market paperbacks. And now I can actually look at them. It's not perfect. As you see, we're sort of forming a new headboard for this bed here, but it's still better than it was. I can see a lot more of my collection, which is really going to help me shop my own shelves while I'm doing this Read What You Own challenge. So I couldn't be any happier. The decoration on top is a work in progress, so you can ignore that. But yeah, I get to just riffle through all of the paperbacks that I've amassed. I strategically put some of the ones I don't expect I'll want to read in the near future behind the bed, but there is like a little alcove I can dip my hand into and get a surprise book if I need it. So this has been what I've been up to. This is what I've been up to. Um, I couldn't be happier. And now a lot of my other shelves are no longer double or triple stack. Just looks a lot neater, and I like it. As added aside, I'm in like the northeast part of the United States. It's really cold here, and this is just like an extra layer of insulation. Behind that door there is like an attic space. It gets really cold. So books, insulation, a better display. I can't be happier. So that's where I've been most of this time. The other amount of things I've been, the other things I've been working on has been like issues with my computer. Another reason I haven't uploaded a lot lately is just my computer's been crashing over and over again. First, it was just the editing software. So I got new RAM and put it in, and that didn't solve the problem. Finally figured it out. The editing software was just overloading the CPU. And so I found out I could still export videos if I lowered the thread count that it was allowed to use, and it wasn't overheating my machine and exploding. But then the computer started to just have RAM issues, and I guess the new RAM that I purchased was bad. So bad RAM led me to just recreate my computer the way it was. So here we are. But I have done a little bit of reading. I'm not where I normally would be in January, but things have happened. I also took a spill the other day and sprained my ankle, so I'm just hobbling around the house. But to the books. Books I've recently read first is Star Trek IV by James Blish. These are just more novelizations of the original Star Trek series. This one, out of the four so far, this has been my favorite volume. And I don't know if it's especially better written so much as they're episodes I haven't revisited in a while. These books were created in the earliest days after Star Trek had sort of um, left television. I think it had just recently got syndicated, but no new episodes were being created. And back in the day, there was no real way to revisit these episodes other than some form of novelization. And the stories in this book are the episodes All Our Yesterdays, The Devil in the Dark, Journey to Babel, The Menagerie, which is the pilot episode, The Enterprise Incident, and A Piece of the Action. And I'm a little bit less familiar with these episodes, and that's why I think I enjoyed it a lot more. They were, I sort of got into the spirit of why these were created. It's because I hadn't watched it in a while, and so I got to revisit fun episodes while not being overly familiar with it and realizing that the original episodes are obviously going to be better. So I enjoyed this a lot. The other book that I finished is Children of Dune by Frank Herbert. This is the third book in the Dune saga and the final book in the time period that the original Dune took place in. This book, I really liked it. Though I must say the story structure is weird. You're not going to just guess what happens in this book. It's not possible. Things get really weird in this book. But after coming off of the high of the original Dune, I started reading Dune Messiah the next year, and that book kind of fell a little flat for me. This book is more of a continuation of what happens in Dune Messiah, and I really feel like that they're kind of more of a pair, almost like one book in two parts. And my enjoyment of this book has really elevated Dune Messiah for me. I think when I revisit it, I'll just read them sequentially next time. But Dune, it's hard to explain Dune just because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of terminology that's thrown at you. You do pick it up over time, but you have to sort of put in the work when you're reading these books for the first time. You have a lot of terms like Bene Gesserit, Mentat, Quis Haderach, Quisatz Haderach, I think. Sietch. Like, there's just a lot of terminology. You do absorb it over time, but like when you first start, you're like, "What's a Gola?" So it's good and bad. It's more work, but it does make the world feel a lot more lived in. Like, the Dune saga spans over thousands of years, and it feels like a lived-in world and with real history. I actually wish more of each section of the time periods were explored, but unfortunately, we only got 6 original books by Frank Herbert, and then a billion by his son. But I haven't read those yet. I hear they're not as high quality, but I don't know. I'll make that judgment for myself when I get to them. But Children of Dune was really good. I really liked it. Again, unusual story progression. It doesn't follow like what you would normally see in like a Campbell style of hero's journey. A lot of heroes do become villains over time, but again, the fact that it's so different makes it really interesting. So I would recommend reading these. If you're going to read Dune Messiah, I would read Children of Dune pretty soon thereafter. They do kind of help each other a lot. So that was the other book I read. Oh dear. I don't have something to show you, but I am also rereading a book in The Cinder Spires, which is a Jim Butcher new series that just started. I am rereading The Aeronaut's Windlass. I got it on audiobook. I got the sequel, which I don't know where I put, but oh, there it is. The Olympian Affair. I'm not going to get up, so I'm just going to put it here. I got that from the library, but like I thought it had been several years since I read the Aeronaut's Windlass, and I don't really remember anything that happened in it. So I decided to reread that first, just via audiobook. And I'm like a few chapters in, and I still don't have any memory of this book. So I remember liking it, and that's about it. So I'm revisiting that, as well as something that's like an event, not event. This is something that Michael K. Vaughan is reading. He's reading the Chronicles of Amber, or the Great Book of Amber, which is all 10 Amber books for an event called Ambuary, which he created when Grammaticus shamed him for not reading any Amber novels and talking about them on his channel. And since I'm a good sycophant, I will also read some of Amber. If I read all of this in 1 month, I'd probably hate Amber. So I'm going in order. So right now I'm reading the 9 Princes of Amber, which started out really strong. I enjoy it so far. But I'm not reading it out of this volume yet, because when you have something that's 1,200 pages, you don't really want to like just have like 3 pages exposed and just really mess up the spine. Fortunately, I have the first 2 books in hardcover, I got this at a thrift shop. This is the Chronicles of Amber, Volume 1. I think there were only 2 volumes of this particular series because it only covered the first 5 novels, because that's all that was written at the time. But I'm probably just going to give this to a friend after I'm done with it, and just keep the big book of Amber, the great book of Amber. It's great. So I don't really have anything to say about it other than it's really interesting so far. It is part of Appendix N, which, for the uninformed, is an appendix in the original Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. It is all of the books that have inspired Dungeons and Dragons and its creation. And the first few books of the Chronicles of Amber, or rather any of the books that have been written at the time, which was like late 70s, are considered to be books that inspired Dungeons and Dragons. There's Roger Zelazny, which some of the books, and then the Amber Saga. I don't know if that was visible, but you get my drift. So, always been a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons, and wanted to read all of Appendix N over time. And this is just the next step on my journey, is reading the original Amber books. So far so good. I don't really have anything other important to say about them, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm going to shop my shelves later, after I'm done with these 2 books, and really get into the Read What You Own challenge. Again, just sleeping next to these books and just admiring them, basking in their presence, of seeing all the individual like spines of all the paperbacks that I picked up, and I think I'll love most of them. A lot of these I do love, and I've kept for that reason. I don't know, it's just really enjoyable, and I just am so happy to have this. So that has been my week. A lot of ups and a lot of downs, but I think we're leaving it on a positive note. So that's all for now. I will catch you later. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you.